Hearties and Hardos, Spinny and I are still speechless over here. Like Spinny said, the headline says, straight shook. Like mine says, no one is safe. That is one thing we learned over this past weekend is that no one in the NBA is safe anymore. Spinny, we have to start right on top with this Luka Doncic deal. This is the craziest thing I can think of in my lifetime. Is there anything crazier?
No, I mean, I said it this morning on AT. I think the only two crazier trades probably are Kareem and Wilt, all time. And, the Kareem trade was basically 50 years ago. So,
Right.
um, that's where I'm at on that. I think you showed it best. We had a group FaceTime, probably 4 or 5 of us in there, and Bus literally didn't speak for like the whole 20 minutes. Like I don't think he said a single freaking word the
I
entire
didn't.
time.
I just was
Just
speechless. I
like
didn't know what to say.
this was Bus's face for 20 minutes.
Yeah, literally. Well,
Like
I'm sitting there like constantly refreshing Champs' tweet, just waiting for the quote tweet saying, "Oh, I was hacked" or something. Like I was fully convinced Sham was hacked. I was like, "There's no way this is a real trade."
Yeah, I had to look at it 4 times, and I'm sitting here with my wife and like, what? Just screaming. She's like, what? Who's dying? What's going on? And normally, like, I'll freak out, but I'm not that level. But that trade just like Luka Doncic, that's like Lamar getting traded. It's like Josh Allen or Joe Burrow getting traded. Like it just doesn't happen ever. Like stars like that will get traded, but they're always at least like
I was
29. Like
I was trying to think of
25-year-old
like
superstars do
yes.
not get traded ever.
I was
Ever.
thinking when I was thinking NFL comparison, I was like, okay, well, it would for sure be Allen, Lamar, or Burrow getting traded for like I don't know, like Jared Goff maybe in a first. Like AD is a
Yeah,
little better than Jared Goff, but the age works out in that comparison.
one that I saw that I liked was like one of those three guys for like Max Crosby or like
That's
Daniil Hunter or
oh the deal.
um
Okay, yeah, that's
like
a good one.
a like a really good defensive player at the position you want, or even Miles Garrett, right? I think
Right.
like top three defender at his position. I think that's where AD is. Little aging, 29 compared to the 25. Little, injury history concerns. I think that's your NFL comp because they
Yeah.
do play
No,
different
that
positions. Luka and AD,
right.
just like So I think you have to
No,
go
you're
that
right.
direction.
That's a better one. The trade in total, Lakers got Luka, Maxi Kleber, Markieff Morris. The Mavs acquired AD, Max Christie, and the Lakers' 2029 first round pick. The poor Jazz were helping this trade out. They had no idea what was going on. They received Jalen Hood-Schifino and 2 seconds just to make the trade go through. Spinny, let's just start with the Mavs here quick. Why, if you're the Mavs, why on earth would you ever do this deal?
I just don't get either. Like signing him. Why don't you just wait till summer, sign with the supermax, and then trade him when you have like there's so much more value. You could have got more. Um, I understand the shopping thing a little bit more now than I did this morning after researching today. It seems like um, why the Mavs GM, I can't think why his
Nico
name.
Harrison.
Yeah, it seems like Nico Harrison was worried about Luka's team finding out and then taking all the leverage in the scenario. Because then at that point, like once Luka can really F up your ability to trade him and what he's worth and all that stuff. So I think that was part of his mindset
Yeah.
on that. It was just he knew what he wanted. He knew he wanted to win right now. And to him, AD was the best piece in the league for that, for his team. So I do get that perspective a little bit more. But where he really effed up then, if that's what you want to do, right? You're set on AD, that's what you want. You think that's what's going to get you this win now situation. Then if the Lakers are like, I don't know about the 2031 or Dalton Connect or
Just
like
gaslighted them.
whatever, it's like it's Luka. Like you want Luka
It's
or not?
Luka.
You want Luka
Yeah.
or not? You're gonna say no to Luka because of a 2031 and Dalton Connect? You're really gonna take away Luka Doncic for that? That's what you want to
Literally.
do, huh? And so like I just don't understand how you don't get everything out of that with Pelinka. Or you can just say, I'm just go take it somewhere else. Like, I get
Yeah.
that you just tried to sell, like, Luka's bad, we don't want him because of this. And then Pelinka's like, well, if you don't want him, I'm not going to give you the same amount. You could turn right around and be like, all right, we'll just go check out someone else then. You know, so
Yeah.
I get they didn't have the ultimate leverage, but there was still a ridiculous amount of leverage. Just Luka freaking Doncic.
It's a top 3 player in the league when he's on the court.
Literally.
I don't know how many times Luka has to prove it to us that that's
39 and 8 in the playoffs.
Yeah.
What else do you want? Like, literally the second highest scoring average in playoff history.
Yeah.
Like, and number 1 is Michael freaking Jordan.
Jordan.
We've seen him at 22 and a half beat Kawhi and PG, 2 of the best defenders of him in the league at that time, essentially by himself. By himself. And then he takes you to the finals on a team that no one expected to be there.
5 seed.
As a 5 seed, then even if you sign him to this extension, you've got him, 25 to 32? Even if he doesn't pan out the way you want, you trade him at 28, 29 in this same exact scenario that you're in right now. And you're
get
still
the
gonna
same
get
deal.
Stuff for
yes.
him.
Yeah.
It's just so, I don't get it.
No, I really don't get it. I mean, clearly they think they can win with AD and Kyrie as their duo. To me, they have to win a championship. Otherwise, this was literally for nothing. Your only future asset you got out of this deal was a 2029 first-round pick. And if Luka is assuming still on the Lakers by 2029, that's not even going to be that great of a pick, I would imagine.
That's 4 years from now. That's Luka in his ultimate prime. That's ultimate God-tier Luka. It's like, okay, cool. I get the 26 to 32 pick in the NBA draft.
Yeah.
Awesome. Cool. Great. Love. If they don't win a championship in the next 2 years, because I mean, and now Kyrie's getting the max because he's got all the freaking leverage. He's a free agent. What are they gonna say? Yeah, we're not gonna re-sign you. Oh, really? You just traded your superstar for AD, and you thought we could win a title, and now you're not gonna re-sign me? Really? That's how that's gonna go, huh? So like,
same with AD.
They have to re-sign those two. They've got them. You know, that's 2 max deals of guys that are older and injury history. It's like you have got to win this year or next year, and Luka has to not win in LA. Otherwise, that's the only way. Those 2 things have to happen simultaneously. You have to win one of the next 2 years, and then Luka has to win no more than 1 championship in LA. If you go 1 for 1, all right, fine. I mean, it is what it is. I guess you'll take your championship and call it a day. But you anything either side less than that means it's the fat L that everyone in the world thinks it is for Dallas.
It's insane to me to come out after the trade is done and like use these excuses like his conditioning issues is why you wanted to get rid of him. Okay, if you think he's fat, well, this supposed fat dude just led you to the NBA Finals literally last year. He led the entire NBA in minutes from regular season combined with playoffs. He led the entire NBA in minutes. And you guys think he has conditioning issues? I just don't get that. What is going to motivate this dude even more is the fact that he just got traded because of said conditioning issues. Like
the man played in the Olympics too.
Yeah,
he played all those games, made it to the finals, then played in the Olympics. It's like, what? Man likes to have a beer or 2 at the smoke a hookah. Like, okay,
let him.
Michael Jordan smoking cigars in the effing locker room. Arvidas Sabonis is literally smoking cigs on the sideline. So it's like, what? It's like, yeah, he might not last to 35, but like, you're still getting a top 5 player for the next 10 years. Who gives a shit? Like, it's just crazy logic to me. Absolutely insane.
It's in terms of just NBA news in general, not just trades. I mean, it's up there with like KD signing to the Warriors. Obviously, RIP Kobe's death announcement. Like, these are some of like the biggest wow factors that I had in my NBA lifetime, and it's right up there, if not more shocking than those.
And like, they have had a good defense with Luka. They've had a top 10 defense.
That's why you draft Lively. That's why you trade for PJ Washington. Yeah. You make these moves to to overcome his defensive deficiencies.
Yeah.
But then you just turn around and trade him anyways.
And I'm like, one thing I will say, going a little bit more into the like how it affects who in the trade. Dallas is going to be an incredible defensive team this year. They are going to be
For sure.
unbelievable
Yes.
defensively.
Yes.
And they just made the Cody Martin trade today. So that
I didn't
is
see that. Yeah,
another
that's a good one.
3-and-D guy. And AD is going to play the 4. So you're going to have
he loves that. He loves that.
So you're going to have Gafford or whoever playing the 5, and AD will be more of a scorer, which will be fun for him. And I don't think he'll have to play as much defense. He'll be more like the free roaming rim protector, fun stuff. Like he's not going to have to like lock down and be the whole anchor like he was in LA. So I think that'll be effective, and he'll be happy because, like you said, it's what he wanted to do this whole time. I'm just worried about them scoring in the playoffs. We know how AD is. He's going to be a lockdown defender in the playoffs, but we know it's up and down offensive production. You're going to get 2 or 3 really good games and 2 or 3 ugh. And that's what Kyrie has also been in the last 2 to 3 years, is that same thing. So I just worry about the consistency of their offense to win a playoff series, but they'll definitely have the defensive capability.
Also, final point I want to make about Nico Harrison. He admitted all these things in the press conference. He thought Pelinka thought he was trolling.
Yeah.
The Mavs owner straight up laughed at him when he presented the trade idea. He also admitted that Luka didn't want out and never indicated that he wouldn't resign. So nothing from Luka's camp. This is nothing to do with Luka's fault. And he doesn't care about 10 years from now because he's not going to be around. He admitted all these things in the press conference. And my last point I want to make is you got to be some sort of shitty GM if 90% of Twitter thinks that the biggest insider in the NBA was hacked because of this deal. Like, that should just tell you, Nico Harrison, that you're a shitty GM if people thought Shams was hacked and instead of believing the trade.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen public opinion be wrong, and you can't be in on that
for sure.
if you're a GM. I do understand that piece of it, but it's like you don't trade top 5 players in the NBA. If you have a top 5 player in the NBA and they're under 28 years old, they do not get traded. You are an idiot to trade them because you are a locked fringe contender no matter the rest of your roster the entire time you have one of those players in your team. And if you are a competent GM and can get a legitimate second star in that even 9 to 15th best player in the league range, you are going to be a perennial competitor the entire time. And so that's why, at the end of the day, this really makes no sense. It's because we know the history of how to win and be a perennial contender in the NBA.
Exactly.
And this is the
history of it. That's a great point. Think about these last couple champions. Jokic, best in the world. Giannis was the best in the world. Tatum, basically right there at 5th best player in the world, 4th or 5th. LeBron, he was the best in the world when he was winning. KD and Curry were the best in the world when they were winning. Like
literally, though. It's just
need a top player to
win.
Yes.
Even Kawhi in Toronto year, he was the top 5 player in the league at that time.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right, the other trade, which would have been pretty shocking if Luka trade didn't happen first, but I didn't really care to react to this one after the Luka trade. Nothing will surprise me anymore after that. But DeAaron Fox traded to the Spurs. LaVine was part of the deal as well. The Kings get an absolute haul, in my opinion. They get LaVine 3 firsts and 3 seconds for Fox and Kevin Huerter, I believe. And the Bulls got Zach Collins, their 2025 first round pick back, Trey Jones, and Kevin Huerter from the deal. So Spinny, that was a good haul for DeAaron Fox, was it not?
Yeah, I like that haul. I'm interested in what they're going to do with LaVine.
Right.
Because
for sure.
Classic Zach getting traded from the Bulls where he's dying to another team where he's just going to be a perennial. Just in purgatory up there in Sacramento. So
just DeRozan and LaVine reunited again.
Yeah, so I don't know.
Just to be the 10th seed.
Yeah, DeRozan, LaVine, and Sabonis, nice little 10 seed team there we got going on. So I hope that something happens with that team more for that case. Because, it's clear they kind of want to tank at this point. I don't see why you're keeping these older veterans that want to win when you're in that tank mode. So hopefully in the offseason we see a little bit of change with that. From the Spurs perspective, I like it as well. What do you think about that?
I love it because they held on to their main young pieces: Keldon Johnson, Devin Vassell, Jeremy Sohan, Stephon Castle. Those are their best young players. They didn't have to get rid of any of them. They didn't have to get rid of their two vets, Harrison Barnes or CP3. They didn't have to get rid of their most valuable picks, which are the Hawks' unprotected picks. And so from that standpoint, it is an amazing deal, and it puts them in a position to go make another one, another big splash deal. Whether they want to do that this week or this summer, we will see. But they have plenty of room now. All those young guys are on their rookie deals. I actually do think Vassell was just extended this past summer, but either way, Fox is the only one on real big money. So they have plenty of room here to make another move. So I'm interested to see what they're going to do.
Agreed. I think there's a lot to be opened with there, and they've really shown how to build around a star without limiting yourself to what you can do going forward. I think that's been a great example of, like, we're going to put a team around Wemby that's competitive and he can really win with, but if it doesn't work out, we're not going to bankrupt the future. We're going to still keep our future going forward until there's a move we really think will guarantee us that contender slot.
Yeah, for sure. What do you think? So Fox and the Spurs, does that make them a for sure playoff team this year?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's
I
pretty
would say
locked.
so.
I think the mentality Wemby's developed in the first half of the year with CP3 has been huge for him. Like, you see a lot more dog going on. KG and Paul Pierce talked about that a lot, how CP is, you can really see the mentality change with Wemby via CP. So that's been big.
Hey, Spinny, I'm going to interrupt you quick and shout you out because you kind of called that in our NBA preview up. That's why you were higher on the Spurs, and you envisioned the same thing as CP3 back in the Thunder when he gave Shai that same edge to him. So shout out to you because you kind of predicted this coming.
I mean, that's what this man does. It's huge credit to him. He plays basketball the right way. He's a dog. He's the most competitive guy ever. And just, he has a way of being an ass, but still being respected and leading through that, which is hard to do.
Hard,
cool to
yeah.
see.
Very hard. Well, Hardies and Hardos, please comment your reactions to the Luka Doncic trade and the Fox trade if you want. But we all know the Luka Doncic trade is the story these past couple of days. So please drop comments. We want to hear your guys' reactions and see if you guys were as shell-shocked as me and Spinny were. Now, before we talk about some more trade deadline predictions, we're just going to briefly talk about the All Stars. They were announced. I'll start in the East, Spinny. The starters are Giannis, Spida, Cat, Jalen Brunson, Jason Tatum. Obviously, 50% voted on by the fans, 25% by the media, 25% by the players. That's how the starters are decided. The reserves fully decided by the coaches of the NBA. Jaylen Brown, Darius Garland, Evan Mobley, Tyler Hero, Pascal Siakam, Cade Cunningham, and Damian Lillard are your Eastern Conference All-Stars. Spinny, give me a bust, man. I know there has to be a bust for you.
Yeah, I think it's Tyler Hero. I think 23, 5 and 5.
Not a bust. Snub, sorry.
Okay.
Snub.
So, snub for sure is Tyrese Maxey, third in scoring on the season. I understand the Sixers are 19 and 29, so that kind of is something against him, but I'm going to use Tyler Hero since I kind of already talked about that. Heat 24 and 23, so only 5 games better than the Sixers, and Hero 23.8, 5 and 5. You know, Maxey's in that like 27 and a half a game and has been clearly the best player on that team the whole year. So I think that's a swap I could definitely have seen happen.
Yeah, I'm for that as well. I don't know. Like, I get the record aspect, but I kind of think they almost go too far with it. Like, I personally don't think that Cavs should have got all 3 of their guys in this year. I just don't think that should have happened. So I'm not going to try to nitpick here and decide which one of Darius Garland and Evan Mobley should have been out, but I just personally think one of those guys should have been out. Siakam, good year for him, but nothing crazy. I don't think he necessarily needed to get included in this game. Now, if you just look at the list, it does seem like he was obviously that second front court option. So if you were to replace him, it would need to be with another front court player. A lot of the snubs, I would say, in the East are guards. You're looking at Tyrese Maxey, LaMelo Ball, and Trae Young, what I would say are probably the three biggest snubs in the East. But I for sure am with you. I think Maxey is the biggest snub. Also from the standpoint that LaMelo is the first player in NBA history to lead fan vote in his position group for his conference, but not make the All-Star game. So that's interesting too.
That is crazy, but I mean, they have 12 and 35.
They have 12.
I agree with you. Like the record
when it gets to that
matter,
point, then
like,
it should matter. I get that.
You can't be in the bottom 5 of the league. Like that's you can't.
No, I'm with you when it gets to that point for sure.
West-wise,
West.
I think it's Booker and Sabonis. I think those
are Sabonis. How are you leaving
snubs.
this dude out every year? I just don't get it.
Especially like Sengun's getting in, and I understand the Rockets are one of the 3 best teams in the West, so they got to have somebody. So I do get it from that perspective. But I think there's guys in the West like Harden, or potentially others that you could have taken out as well.
Jaren Jackson, in my opinion.
Jaren Jackson. Give me your argument.
Potentially J-Dub, but I get it because the Thunder are so freaking good. Like, you want to have 2 guys for them, so I get J-Dub. But Sabonis, this dude literally leads the NBA in rebounds. He's averaging roughly 20, 21 points a game, 14.5 boards, 6 to 7 assists, and shooting above 60% from the field. I just don't know what this dude has to do to get in. He got snubbed last year. The same thing. I just don't get it.
Yeah, I mean, we're looking at a points, rebounds, assist number of 40 a game out of 60% shooting. It's just like I don't know what else the man has to do to get in.
Literally. Like, I feel so bad for Sabonis, honestly.
I know. It's such a tragedy. And Booker, 5th in the league in scoring, 26, 6, and 4. Almost, 6.7, almost 7 assists a game for Devin Booker. That's crazy. Man's never been the facilitator at that level before. So you got to give him credit for the improvement. The Suns have been decent, not quite as good, but decent. Record-wise, not that off from the Clippers. And a guy, I could have seen him making it over is Harden.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. Hardos, let us know your biggest snubs for the All-Star game. Sabonis, Booker, Maxey. Those are kind of the biggest 3 for us. So let us know what you guys think. Now, Spinny, we got to dive back into this trade deadline. Obviously, it's Thursday afternoon, 2 days from today. I'm trying to think here. We got to start with Jimmy, right? That's the biggest domino left to fall here.
Yeah. I think Jimmy to the Suns for Beal happens. I really do.
Really? Okay.
It just seems the vibe that no one really wants Jimmy outside of Phoenix. Seems like KD is really in on him. So I don't know. And maybe it's not Beal. Maybe it's Nurkic. Maybe they make it work with Nurkic's contract and the rest of they throw some other stuff in. I don't know if that is doable cap-wise, but I do think Jimmy ends up in Phoenix.
Okay. The trade I had come up for Jimmy to Phoenix, I think the Heat are going to need to get 2 first-round picks in return to take on that ridiculous contract of Bradley Beal's. I don't anticipate it getting done any other way, so I'm thinking Jimmy for Bradley with 2 firsts thrown in. I mean, that might be enough for the Heat to be like, all right, we'll take on this brutal contract. But I don't know. Like, that one's tough to me because I just truly don't think anybody in the NBA wants Bradley Beal's money. That's 50. Like, that's got to be the worst contract in the league. Plus, it's a no trade clause. He might not even he might decline it, and then they can't even trade him to the Heat.
Literally.
So that's my biggest question there. But there's 2 other potential suitors, I think. Now, obviously, he pretty much already threw out the Warriors out of the window.
Yeah, Warriors are out.
Let's just do it as a thought exercise here. What would it be?
I
It'd be
think that one's
Kuminga,
easy. I think it's Kuminga and Wiggins
Wiggins.
for Butler straight up. That works. You get a young player that has some potential, and you get a guy that's at his best, like 80% of Jimmy Butler.
Yeah.
So that's probably
But
what it looks like for Golden State.
but as we know, that's pretty much out the window because Jimmy said he's not going to sign an extension there. Which again, Jimmy, I don't know why you're doing this kind of shit, man. Like you can't tank your value completely. Like you gotta make sure one of these teams wants you, bro. Like I just don't get that
Yeah.
concept, right? The other team I thought of was the Rockets. Obviously, they have a million assets they could use to get Jimmy. Now, I just don't personally think they're in that boat to want to trade for a guy like Jimmy right now. I think they're kind of liking where they're at with their young guys, and maybe they make a move this summer for a bigger star. That's
And I
kind of what
just
I think
don't.
with the Rockets.
Yeah, I just don't think the Rockets aren't giving up any of the big three, Green, Thompson, or Sengun for Jimmy,
Correct.
and I just don't like. They don't need a front court player. Like you would have to end up including Van Vliet in this trade probably, or Brooks to make the money work. And who's the value guy going back? Jabari. Probably give up Jabari and whatever between Van Vliet and Brooks it takes to make the salaries work. Is that enough? I don't know. Do you want that? I don't
Yeah,
know either.
right. That's why I think the Rockets are a wait team for me. I think they're just going to wait till the summer, let this season shake out, see what they do in the playoffs, and
And
then
they want to
assess
see what
what
they
their biggest
got, I
needs are
think.
from there. Exactly.
Yeah. Who's
These
like
guys aren't playoff tested. They want to see which young guys they actually want to build around.
And at the end of the day, you're probably going to have to get rid of either Amon Thompson or Jalen Green. I don't know if the two of them necessarily work together long term. Maybe, but I think that's another thing they want to see in the playoffs is which of those guys they really like more.
For sure. Amen Thompson, he's been a freak these last couple of weeks.
Yeah.
How about Cam Johnson? He's obviously a big name on this trade deadline list. Do you have any spots for him?
I have Cam Johnson to the Wolves
Oh
for
my god, that would be awesome actually.
for
For
Julius
what?
Randle and something like Terrence Shannon and a pick or Rob Dillingham. We're going to have to give up a young player like that or a pick or two for Cam. But Cam is 4 for 94 and Randall is 4 for 117 of their total contract values. So, like, money remaining is matchable between those two guys with not too much finagling. So something around that framework, I think, is what it would take. We're obviously going to have to put a pick in there too, I'm guessing, or a swap at least. So something like that, I think, could work for the Wolves, and gives you a little more spacing for Ant, which is what you're looking for.
Yeah, we definitely need a shooter. So I would not necessarily be opposed to that. I had the Thunder, believe it or not. Thunder have still obviously a million assets they can use. Believe it or not, Spinny, they can get this deal done with just Ousmane Dieng, Dylan Jones, their first round pick from this past year, and Jalen Williams, the other Jalen Williams, not
The
J
other
Dub.
gen, why
Plus
Williams?
plus a first round pick. Why the Nets would do that, I don't necessarily know. Probably just for the first round pick.
Yeah,
Ousmane Dieng, I guess, is only still 19, 20 years old. Maybe there's something there. I really doubt it, but that would just be something to get the pick there. Cam Johnson, obviously, that would be a great fit with the Thunder for sure.
yeah.
Another team I thought of was the Pacers. Now I don't know how much the Pacers are going to be buying here at this deadline. That would be my biggest question. But they have a bunch of mid-range guys, Isaiah Jackson, Jarris Walker, guys like that, plus a first-round pick that they could use to get that done. And then
I
one
thought
final one that I thought, which would be extremely interesting. How about the Magic spinning for Cam Johnson? What do you think about that spot?
Yeah, I don't hate that. I think he's a perfect player that fits in it. I mean, they can trade one of their 72,000 guards that are all the same, too. And,
Exactly.
that have potential.
And
One
they
of
got
those
some
Jalen
first they could
Suggs
use.
or Markel Fultz or whoever it's going to be type guys. Um, yeah, I don't hate that. I also think Cleveland could be in play.
Yep, I
Um,
agree. You'd use
if,
Max Strus probably.
yep, Max Strus's contract, you could fit it with a couple of other of your role player guys and then a pick.
Yeah.
And that gives you Garland, Mitchell, Johnson, Mobley, and Allen as your 5, which is pretty
Amazing. It's
crazy.
pretty good. Yeah.
And it gives you another shooter to spread it out. I mean, you got Garland and Johnson and Mobley. When you get that Mitchell and Mobley pick and roll with Allen in the dunker spot, and those two as your off shooters. I mean, that's a freaking serious lineup.
Yeah, for sure. It's going to be interesting to see what the quote-unquote total haul for Kevin Durant will be for this Nets team. As we know, they somehow got 5 firsts for Mikal Bridges this past summer, so Cam Johnson was also part of that deal. We'll see what they can get back for him, and it's going to be crazy to see that total haul because it's already pretty freaking ridiculous the way it is. Who else you got, Spinny?
I think Nick Claxton gets traded. I think
the
Lakers make it happen. And I think it's something like Austin Reeves. Like they might have to add some other random stuff to make it work, but I think there's a chance the Nets would do Reeves for Claxton right now. I think Reeves has ball handler potential. And one of the things you've seen a lot on the Lakers this year is LeBron playing more off ball because they've trusted Reeves to be the ball handler fairly consistently, especially in the last month or two. So I think that is a player. He is a player that is attractive to teams that don't have that primary ball handler that they trust. And I think Reeves could be that guy for the Nets. So I think that's a trade that could work. And then you still keep Connect, your shooter, you get a big. I think it could be a great move for the Lakers.
You could potentially even do that without Reeves. They have the Rui deal, which could be used to match. They have Rui, Gabe Vincent, Jared Vanderbilt as their biggest pieces they would be trying to move right now. They also have 3 first-round pick swaps and that 2031 outright first that they can use. Nick Claxton, John Collins, Clint Capella, Nikola Vucevic. These are some guys that they should target. They should definitely try to get a 5 before the deadline, I think.
Even Miles Turner. Could they make the Miles Turner thing happen?
I saw rumors about that floating around too. So
they've been trying to get Miles Turner for 3 years.
Yeah, literally.
I think
hilarious.
Reeves. The only reason I think Reeves is a very tradable player now is it's kind of redundant. Like you got Luka who's going to handle the ball most of the time, and anytime Luka's not handling it, it's going to be LeBron. You don't really need that third guy to handle the ball, and Reeves is not that great of a shooter where you want him playing off ball a ton with those guys either. So I think that's where he could be available just with the redundancy of what he does.
Yeah. How about Brandon Ingram, Spinny? I think there could be some potential Brandon Ingram suitors at this deadline just because I think he's not going to be worth that much. I think some teams could slide in and snag him for kind of the low right now, especially while he's battling an injury. Pistons are a team I'm looking at. Maybe they try to make that move and get another scorer next to Cade and actually make a true push to the playoffs here. That would likely be Tim Hardaway Jr. Obviously would be included. That one would mainly be pick based. You also have the potential for the Clippers. I think they could be in that mix. Get them next to James Harden. They obviously need another scorer. Terrence Mann, Derrick Jones Jr., and first-round pick. Maybe 2 first-round picks. That could get it done. That would work money-wise. Those are the 2 biggest teams that I saw that could go after him. What do you think about that?
I think those teams are both potential. I think this is another huge Cavs potential as well.
Right.
Plug him in at the 3 there, just a guy that, again, you don't know where he's at, but if he comes in and can get you playoff buckets, it's going to be huge. That was the only other team I thought of besides those 2 that really could make a play for BI.
Either way, though, I do think that the Pelicans, they got to trade BI. BI, Zion,
Trey Murphy does the
McCollum.
same thing. There's
Exactly.
no reason to have BI anymore on their team.
No,
Trey Murphy's a better version right now.
They need to get below that second apron. They're paying DeJounte, Zion, BI right now. They need to get rid of one of these dudes for sure before Thursday.
Agreed.
Where is this? How about this splash move? I don't believe this will happen. Okay. But we're talking about Pelicans. Let's talk about Zion to the Thunder. Huh? Lou Dort, Isaiah Joe, Jalen Williams, obviously the other one, and a first-round pick or two or whatever you need to do. What do you think about that?
I mean, I don't hate it. I think you might have to include. I don't know what Zion's worth. I really have
See,
genuinely no idea what Zion's
I
worth
almost
right
wonder
now
if he's
at all.
not worth a ton. I mean, who knows?
Maybe
I
not.
guess, but
I thought about the Warriors making the Zion play for
yes,
Wiggins and
that's another
Kuminga.
spot for sure. For sure.
Curry and Zion, the most outside and the most inside guy ever together on
That
a
would be
team. I don't
fun.
know. That'd be wild. I would love the thought of Zion in the Warriors culture. I think they could figure his shit out probably.
Well, honestly, the number one team I wanted Zion to go to, which is not going to happen, I would assume anymore, is the Spurs. They had all those assets. I think him in San Antonio with Pop and that culture, that's what he really needed. But now, obviously, after acquiring Fox, I would imagine that's out the window.
But man, if they could still get him on the low, Fox, Zion, and Wemby,
That's what I'm saying. If you're going to get this guy on the low, why not take the risk?
yeah, especially like a team like that where you don't necessarily need him, but he also adds something crazy to your team, you know.
Yeah.
And the Spurs don't have to worry about their spacing issues too much, so that's not going to be an issue with him either. Like, can you imagine Zion playing on a team in the dunker spot though? Like, that's what I'm talking about type stuff.
Yeah.
With the Warriors, where it's like you got Curry or whoever driving, and Zion's the guy you're throwing oops to. Like, I don't know.
Well,
That'd be great.
that's why the Thunder would also be a nasty fit for them because Chet's a more perimeter-based guy anyways.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
You could go 4 out with J-Dub and SGA and Chet and whoever your other one is.
And whoever, probably Caruso or whatever. And then,
yeah, Caruso and then Zion. You know what I mean? Like, that's a
that would be
crazy. You get Zion all that space down low. Like,
oh my
and you
gosh.
still got to worry about SGA scoring 30 or 50% every single game he ever plays. That's just nastiness.
As a Wolves fan, I am praying the Thunder don't make a move for Zion because that would be ridiculous.
Wolves for Zion? Julius Randle? Would you do that right now?
I would, but why would the Pelicans?
No, I just think it's an expiring deal. You know?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
That they could get off that money like you're talking about after this year, but yeah, it'd be interesting.
Yeah. You have any other ones?
No, that's it. That's all I got.
Otherwise, I have one to float by you.
All right.
I don't like this deal at all, but I want to hear your opinion on it. It's just a random rumor I saw on social media. It makes sense money-wise, so I just want to throw it by you. It's about our Wolves.
Oh, no.
The very extremely rare one-for-one swap. Julius Randle for Jeremy Grant. Grant's obviously a better shooter.
I mean, sure, I guess.
Would you do that? Would you want to see that happen?
What's Grant's contract? Does Grant have 4 years left?
That's the thing. He has 2 more years after this year, though.
No, I wouldn't.
Then no. I agree.
I think they're the same MFer. Grant's a little bit better shooter, so it'll be a little bit more spacing, but like, gosh, they're the same person.
It's no upgrade. I would not say that's an upgrade at all. So,
and like, I'm not trading Julius unless I'm either getting a slight upgrade or I'm getting more spacing in some way.
Correct.
I don't think trading Julius for a guy who doesn't give you either of those things makes any sense.
Yeah, well, especially the main reason why I would not be for it is just those extra deals or the extra 2 years.
Well, that's why we got rid of Cat in the first place. Was for that reason. So it's like there's no way we're going into that. Well, that Cat trade was looking worse and worse by the day.
I hate it. I hated it when it happened. I hate it just as much now.
I don't hate it still now. I still think we did the right thing, but I'm slowly getting more and more to having to accept that we might have been wrong.
Why I was so mad is like you trade Cat to get off the money, fine, whatever. I understand that concept in today's NBA with the new CBA. But then why do you turn around and days later extend Rudy Gobert then? Like, why do you use that saved money to extend an older guy who sucks?
Who I just want his contract to be gone as well. Basically.
Exactly, but now it's not because he's extended. Like, he's just a Wolf for the next 3 years. No one wants Rudy Gobert. We're never going to be able to trade him.
Literally. No one wants him at all.
All right, I'm just going to quickly shout out some other guys here that you could see moved at this deadline. Very minor names. Obviously, we already covered the big ones. All the vets on the Raptors. Bruce Brown, obviously, he's at a 20 mil-ish So that might be tough to deal him, but he's obviously a successful role player.
Can we get
He
Bruce
could
Brown
moved.
on a winning team again?
That's what I'm saying. Bruce Brown, Chris Boucher, Kelly Olynyk. The Jazz, they have John Collins, Colin Sexton, and Jordan Clarkson all on the block. The Wizards, they have Kyle Kuzma and Malcolm Brogdon. Potentially Jordan Poole. I don't know if anyone would want that contract, though. And Valanciunas, obviously. And Bogdanovich would be another name to monitor from the Hawks, I would say. So
Lots of role-playing shooters that could get traded and all those names, obviously. Love that.
exactly. All right, Hardos. Again, comment. Let us know what you thought about that Luka deal for sure. Actually, comment some predictions too. What do you think else is going to happen at this deadline? Obviously, the two biggest dominoes have fallen already, Luka and DeAaron Fox, but we still got Jimmy, potentially BI, all these other names that could get moved here in these next couple of days. So let us know what you think.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Hardies and Hardos. Go hug that friends and family, baby.
Yes, sir.